Hi makeup friends, I hope you all are doing great. I have part 2 to my brush series that I'm doing on my channel for you guys. So I already did part 1, which is my most used face brushes. So now this is part 2 and this is my most used eyeshadow brushes. So I just wanted to share with you guys so you can get an idea of the brushes that I use, to get an idea of the brushes that you could try, inexpensive brushes, higher end brushes. I more or less have more inexpensive brushes, one or two high-end brushes, but these brushes work fantastic for me. I have no issue applying eyeshadow whatsoever. I find my eyeshadow comes out great. So I just wanted to share with you guys. Now the brushes that I'm sharing with you are not the only brushes that I have. I actually have this here with me. This is a container that I picked up from like the $20 store. I have 2 of these and they sit in my drawer there. The reason why I don't keep my brushes exposed like up on my vanity, and a lot of people have them like in a jar standing up, I don't do that because I'm very wary of the dust, because a lot of dust collects on my vanity. I need to clean my vanity quite often. Every few days, every 3 or 4 days, I clean my vanity, and it's a lot of dust there. So I don't want to have my brushes out collecting dust in different times when I may not be using them, collecting dust, and then I go to put that on my face. So I don't leave my brushes out at all. So they sit in containers like this in my drawer. I have one for eye brushes, one for face brushes. My face brushes is spilling over because I have the face brushes are larger and I do have a lot, but these are my eyeshadow brushes. These are just some of them, and then my most used ones I have out here to show you guys. So I do have quite a number of brushes. Just wanted to show you guys, and I pulled out my most used ones. These do get used, but not as much as the ones I'm going to share with you. So I will try to share them with you in order of how I do my eyeshadow. If I miss one, I'll just go back to that one. But these brushes, you can mostly find all of them locally. Maybe 1 or 2 you can get online, but for the most part, locally. Anyway, when I am going to do my eyeshadow, I always use an eyeshadow primer. 1 or 2 times I may use concealer, but most of the time I use an eyeshadow primer. I pat it in with my finger, and then I always set my eyeshadow primer with a nude colored eyeshadow. So I just have a little single, it's just like a creme brulee sort of color, just a nude color, just to set the eyeshadow primer so that it makes blending easier when you want to start a blend. Now some people just use the eyeshadow primer, lay it down, and then they start a blend. For me personally, when I used to do that, I find it makes the eyeshadow look like if it skips, and it also looks kind of patchy. I find that I get a more even eyeshadow application when I set my primer with a powder first. Before I show you guys the brushes, I just want to show you this. I got this as a gift from my friend, but I know she picked it up from Makeup Haven, which is Rhea. I always talk about Rhea. You can check her out, www.mymakeuphaven.com, and Rhea has all of her products there. They're already in stock. You just pick and go through what you want. So she picked this up from her, and this is supposed to be like a dupe to the Color Switch, which is sold in Sephora, sorry, and it's quite expensive, but this one here is like a kind of knockoff of it, but it works fantastic. So what this is, it's called Color Cleaner. It's just actually a type of sponge inside a tin, but this type of sponge cleans off brushes. So if you want to switch between colors, let's say you have a very limited amount of brushes and you want to go from cream to brown to black, and you don't want the eyeshadows getting muddy and looking like the same color, you just take your brush and clean it off inside of here. Actually, you can see some of the brown coming off of this brush as I clean it. So if you do have limited brushes, you can always use this in between, and then it comes off completely clean after, and you can go ahead and dip it into another color. So I just thought, because I use this quite a bit sometimes when I'm doing my eyeshadows, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I believe this could be no more than like $45. So this is a fantastic thing if you don't get time to clean your brushes a lot in between. or if you have a limited amount of brushes, this is a really nice product to invest in. Right, so back to the eyeshadow. So as I said, I always use an eyeshadow primer, and then I set my eyeshadow primer with a skin colored, skin toned eyeshadow. If you don't have a skin tone eyeshadow, you can use any translucent face powder that you have. That should work well. The first brush that I go in with, the brush that I use to set down my eyeshadow primer, is this brush. And this brush is one of the Real Techniques bold metal brushes. Now, I believe that I was one of the first sets of people to actually see these brushes selling locally here in Starlight Pharmacy. You guys know I speak about Starlight Pharmacy a ton because they have fantastic freaking things. So this is one of the Real Techniques bold metal brushes. This is one of their eyeshadow brushes. The number is 200 on it there. So all of their bold metal brushes are very beautiful. They come in rose gold, gold, silver, etc. And they have brushes for all over the face. And I picked up this one just because I wanted pieces from the collection and it was very beautiful. But the brush is a large brush and I can't really pack the eyeshadow on my lid with this brush. It's just too big. So I use this brush to dip into the skin toned eyeshadow, and I set my entire eye from brow bone to lid, the entire eye area. I use this to set it with the skin tone eyeshadow. So every time I'm going to do my eyeshadow, this brush gets used. This is one of my favorite brushes. I love it for that reason, and it's good enough for me to just use it for that reason. If you want to get this brush just because it is beautiful and you have larger eyes than me, you can probably try this for color on your lid, but for me this works well for setting my entire eye area. Love this brush. Then how I do my eyeshadows, after I set my eyes, I always go into my crease first. I actually used to do my lids first, but now I always do my crease first. And the brushes that I use for those are the ones that I start off with are these brushes here. Now these are some very inexpensive brushes. As I mentioned in my face brush video, I purchased a 10-piece set off of Amazon, and for every large face brush, which is 5 large face brushes, for every large face brush you got the exact same brush in a eyeshadow type brush. So I got this same shape, I got it in a large brush. This same shape, I got it in a large brush. I will link that 10-piece eyeshadow set off of Amazon for you guys to check out the link if you want to get those brushes, but I would highly recommend picking it up. In that set, there are wonderful brushes for foundation and for cream contour and carving out certain parts of your face. I don't think you can get a good blush brush or anything like that, but definitely for cream products, the larger brushes, I would say go ahead and pick it up for that reason. But for the 5 eye brushes, definitely worth it. So these are two of the 5 eyeshadow brushes. I always go in with this more flat one first to kind of set the tone for the shade that I'm going to use, and I always start like with a light color, so I might use like a cream color, and then I might go up a step and go to maybe a more beigey toned color. So this is the brush that I use to set down my first 2 sets of blending colors. Then I will go in with this more rounded top one. So this one is more flat, this one is more rounded, and I will use this one for my darker colors. Today I did a kind of mauvey purpley look, so I did use this to set down my mauve color, my little darker color. So I always use these when I am doing my eyeshadow looks. Love these brushes. They are worth it for the set. The set is a great, I mean, if you calculate, you might pay maybe $100, a little over $100, but you're getting 10 brushes, so worth it. And then when I did purchase those brushes, I believe they sent me 2 free brushes as well. So besides those, for blending brushes, I also love these and use these almost every time. So to kind of, I always like to go a little above the darkest color that I use in my crease and always use a little lighter color. So I may have used a darker pink, I may have used a darker purple, and I always try to go a little above where I put down my crease color to get a little shade in, to give the eye a little definition. So I always try to put a different color up there. You may not see it now, but in person you can see it. And I love using this brush. This one is a Royal and Langnickel crease brush. These brushes from Wonderful World, I paid maybe about $35 for this. These brushes from Wonderful World are becoming my favorite brushes to use. Besides this one, as I showed in my video, I believe I have the complexion brush, which I use for powder, but people say it's wonderful for foundation. And then I also have the contour brush, which I love for contouring. So these brushes are fantastic. They pick up shadow nicely. They help you blend out the eyeshadows nicely. I really like this brush, and I may consider getting a backup in this one. So it's good to have multiple crease brushes, clean ones and different ones that you can switch back and forth. So after I have laid down my colors with the first two, I might go in with this one and blend. You know, when you're doing your eyeshadow, you continuously blend to get a flawless look as best as you can, and you just blend, whether you go back and forth, you go in circular motions. So I always use this one as an additional blending brush, and then two others that I will go back and forth with, but they always get use a lot of the time. This one is a Cala crease brush, and I told you guys last time that Cala has some really wonderful brushes. I have had this crease brush for a very long time, and this one is very soft. It hardly sheds. It's a really good crease brush from Cala. So if you can't get your hands on those off of Amazon, definitely pick up some crease brushes either from Wonderful World or from Pennywise. You can get these. I believe also you may get Cala brushes in Starlight. I'm not sure about Superfarm, but Pennywise and Wonderful World for sure. These crease brushes have a really nice size. It's not that large, so you can kind of be very precise with your crease colors with this one. Now my own looks a little bent because some other brushes went on top of it and bent it a bit, but it will get back its shape once I wash it and stuff. But I have washed this brush tons of times. I've had this brush for a very long time, and it's going strong. So these Cala crease brushes are wonderful as well. Also, this is the e.l.f. Professional Blending Eye Brush. This is a very cheap brush. As I said, I have tons of e.l.f. brushes. I love e.l.f. brushes. I find them to be fantastic. Not cheap at all. They are just really great quality. You can find e.l.f. in Starlight Pharmacy, VogueChuc by Charlene, and the C3 Center. The excellent stores in the C3 Center has e.l.f. as well. If anybody else knows where you can find e.l.f. products locally in Trinidad, please leave them a name, a seller name, or whatever to help each other out. If you're from abroad, e.l.f. sells everywhere. Target, Walmart, drugstores, everywhere you can get e.l.f. So this one is another blending brush. This one has shorter bristles and it's a little more tightly packed, but I love smaller blending brushes for precision, because if I'm doing black in the crease, I can't use a big brush like this one, because it will be a little too messy for that color. It will be a little too all over the place. But for when you're doing darker colors, these shorter bristled, more precise blending brushes will be fantastic and will be your best friend. One other crease brush that I want to mention, I picked up this one in Starlight Pharmacy as well. I only own 2 Sigma brushes. Last time I showed you that I own the F80 Kabuki foundation brush. That one is really good for foundation. Then I picked up, not too long ago, maybe a few months ago, this is the Sigma Small Tapered Blending Brush. This is E45. Now Sigma brushes are expensive. I believe this brush could have probably been about maybe $140. It's $100 and something. Don't quote me exactly, but this one is $1 something. But I have been looking for a brush like this. You see how long the bristles are, and it's tapered. It's a tapered blending brush, and this is really good for when you want to get tightly up in the crease. and you want to do some precise blending because you want to put colors exactly in one place and you don't want to get it blended all over your entire eye. I've been looking for a brush like this and I really love this. The Sigma brushes are strong, heavy duty, really nice brushes. My suggestion is if you want to add Sigma brushes to your collection, go piece by piece. You know, every month you can buy a brush and go on and go on and go on. I really like doing that because it helps me build my collection, but I love this brush from Sigma. Then moving on to brushes for the lid, like lid color brushes. As I told you, I have a ton of e.l.f. brushes. These are just some of the e.l.f. brushes that I have. I have a ton here. I'll have to dig through, but I have lots and lots of e.l.f. brushes. These are their $1 eyeshadow brushes. They're just named e.l.f. Professional Eyeshadow Brushes. And you see how short the bristles are there. You see them dirty, it's because I use them constantly. I use this one to apply a little glittery shade. So these are their $1 brushes. As I said, you can find them Starlight, VogueChuc by Charlene, excellent stores in the C3 Center. If anybody else knows where we can get e.l.f. products, definitely let everyone know down below. Leave a comment. But I love these brushes for packing color onto my lid. They are very precise. I can get them, you know, they're small enough to go where I want them to go, and they are just the perfect size. I love these, and they pick up almost any type of shadow that I need them to. However, when I am doing like this shadow on my lid, is a color pop shadow, and when you're doing the color pop shadows, you know, it's a kind of a finicky, funny texture. It's like a jelly wet kind of texture, and then when it's dried down, it goes kind of not matte, but it like powder. It doesn't move until you take it off. So for those, I use my Wet n Wild brush. I have also a ton of these. I picked these up in the dollar store when I went to the States. But these eyeshadow brushes, I'm not sure locally where you can get these, but you just need a synthetic type brush to pick up those color pop shadows. So I use that for that reason. I don't really like using brushes with my color pop shadows because it kind of dilutes the color. You get the truest color when you use your fingers, but if you have fat little fingers like me, it's sort of hard to get the color exactly where you want. So I will just place it down, and then I can go ahead and fix the edges with this one and then blend over it however I need to. So these are some of my most used lid shade brushes, as well as I have these to share with you. This one is from Cala as well. Cala has really good brushes and very inexpensive. This one is the Eyeshadow 315 brush. As you see, it's a little smaller than the e.l.f. one across. It's smaller, and this one fits even better to do eyeshadow colors because you can't go exactly where you need to put the color. I love this one. I actually use this one to smudge a little color under my eyes, as well as you can use it for eyeshadow. I love this brush. Actually, I never actually thought of purchasing a second one, but I just made just to have them. But this Cala brush, definitely check out the Cala range of brushes. So those are another two of my favorites. As well as I do have this Morphe option to share with you. This one is a G20. I picked this one up in Starlight Pharmacy as well. I believe I paid about maybe $60 for this one. And this one is a very stiff eyeshadow brush, but it applies eyeshadow beautifully to your lid. It is a very tight little brush. It's very stiff. This one would work very well for color pop shadows as well, but it also picks up shadow like a boss. This little brush, these Morphe brushes are beautiful, and look at the shade of it. It's like a gunmetal sort of shade. I really like this one. Then I also have another Morphe brush to share with you for smudging color under my lash line, not lash line, underneath here. My lash line, yes, my lash line. I also use this one. This one is the Morphe M508. I also picked up this one in Starlight. You see how small and short this one is? This one is perfect for smudging color out under your lash, and it fits perfectly under there to smudge out color. I really like this one. I believe this one was like $40. So if you go to Starlight, you can get Sigma brushes, you can get the e.l.f. brushes, and you can find Morphe brushes. So, you know, it's worth it taking a trip there to see if there's anything that you would want from there. And then last but not least, this one. These are just two extras that I sometimes use. This one is another one from the 10-piece set that I bought off of Amazon that I was speaking about before. This one is a brush that comes to a point. I also sometimes use this to smudge out color. If I don't need to be that precise and I'm smudging out color on my lash line, I will use this one. Or this one can be used up in the crease as well because it is very pointy and quite precise. I mean, it's not my absolute favorite. I showed you guys my favorite, but this one is really good as well. If that one is too dirty, I will definitely pull for this one. I really like that one. So that 10-piece brush set is amazing. And then this one is an angled brush. This one came from, I believe it's an Urban Studio set that I picked up from Wonderful World. I think the set was maybe $115 and I got like 4 or 5 eyeshadow brushes in it. I also got, I got this one. All of these came in this set. Is a little Urban Studio set from Wonderful World. I also got this one. So I got quite a bit of brushes. This one is a nice blending brush. It is a larger blending brush because it is fat. And then I got these two. This one is fantastic for smudging under the eye as well. And then this one, I really like this one for underneath my eye. Also, I didn't share with you guys, but I use a angled brush for my eyebrows when I'm using my pot of ColourPop eyeshadow color. But that one is just a random, any angle brush you can find would work. Just make sure it's stiff enough to go back and forth between your eyebrows. So those are all of the brushes that I do use every time I do my eyeshadow. Those are the brushes that I pull for the majority of the time. They are my absolute favorite. Again, these are all of, I do own a ton of brushes, but those that I shared with you are my favorites. So I hope this video was helpful, guys. So you need a lid color brush, you need a crease brush, you should get a little brush to spread color underneath your eyes. Also, I forgot to tell you that I also put color underneath, like just a highlighting color underneath my brow. I always will use one of these little e.l.f. brushes as well because it fits perfectly under there. I will just use an additional one that doesn't have lid color or something on it. So guys, I hope this video was helpful. Those are all of my brushes that I use to put on my eyeshadow every time I do my makeup. If you have any questions, please ask me down below. I hope this video, again, it could help you, find brushes that you need to find, or direct you to where you need to go, or give you an idea of what I use to create an eyeshadow look. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I am going to film one more video after this one, so you will see me in this look again. But as always, I appreciate each and every one of you. Please subscribe if you're not already. Please leave me a like and a comment. Please hit the little bell that's next to the subscribe button, as it alerts you every time I upload a video, so you can get first glance at when I do upload. So guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.